What's up guys, my name is Ace, and welcome back to another gun guide. This is the series where I go into great detail with all of the stats as well as some excellent attachment combinations for every gun in Black Ops 6. And in today's episode, we're going to be covering the brand new Marksman Rifle. This is the TR2. And starting it off as always, let's get into our damage profile, and with this gun, it is going to be a 3 to 4 shot kill. However, headshots are quite powerful with this. In the maximum damage range, all we need is one headshot mixed in with a body shot to now get a 2-shot kill. And then for the following 2 damage ranges, we just need 2 headshots mixed in with body shots to reduce the number of shots to kill. That is, unless we're using the CHF barrel, which doesn't do anything to help us in the first damage range. It's still going to be 1 shot to the body, 1 shot to the head for a kill. However, for the next 2 ranges with the CHF barrel, we maintain the ability to reduce our number of shots to kill by hitting just 1 headshot mixed in with body shots. Next, let's have a look at our rate of fire, which is 400 rounds per minute. Keep in mind, this is a semi-auto. And what this means is with a 3-shot kill, we're killing in 300 milliseconds, which is not terrible, not great. The Marksman Rifle average is skewed heavily by the burst rifle, so it may look way below average, but it's really not terrible in this game. But obviously not a standout either. Now, if you do manage to get that 2-shot kill by landing a headshot mixed in with a body shot up close, we're killing in 150 milliseconds, which is an extremely fast time to kill. And with rapid fire, we can boost our rate of fire up to 444 rounds per minute, which now gives us the 3-shot time to kill potential of 270 milliseconds, and that's now a much more respectable time to kill that can actually hold its own against most of the guns in the game. As for our ranges, our maximum damage range, where headshots are very effective without the CHF barrel, this is 24 meters, whereas our 3-shot kill potential to the body will extend out to 47 meters. And that is a very solid 3-shot kill range. One thing that's very unfortunate about this gun though is it has by far the slowest bullet velocity in the Marksman Rifle category at just 660 meters per second, giving us a hit scan range at 33 meters. Now, of course, we can boost that with the gain twist barrel, which gives us a 30% boost to velocity, or we can go with the long barrel, which boosts our range values by 30%. Or my personal favorite on this gun is the reinforced barrel, which gives us a 15% boost to range and a 25% boost to velocity. And then finally, I did want to point out here, this is one of the guns where rapid fire doesn't actually harm our range or velocity value, unlike most guns in this game, which will see a 10% reduction to both those values with rapid fire equipped. As for hardcore, the TR2 is a 1-shot kill at all ranges anywhere in the body, as long as you're not shooting through something. And now let's get into Hipfire, and it turns out we're actually tied with the AEK as having the best Hipfire spread in the Marksman Rifle category. That's not to say that it's great and that I'd recommend hipfiring often with this gun, but it is technically pretty decent for a Marksman Rifle. And with that out of the way, let's get into recoil. And as you can see here, there's not a ton of recoil with this gun. It kicks almost straight upwards. There's a slight lean to the left. And a big thing to point out here is there is a decent jump between the first and second shot fired. That is the most recoil you're going to experience, and definitely something you want to be aware of. Next, I did want to show the CHF barrel will pretty massively increase the recoil you experience here. And as a result, especially since it's not helping in the maximum damage range, I just don't like using the CHF barrel on this. However, I do like using rapid fire, and this will also be increasing your recoil, just not as much as the CHF barrel does. Now, since this gun does have a lot of initial recoil, I did want to take a look to find out which muzzle is best for recoil control on this. Is it the compensator or the ported compensator? Because, just a reminder, the ported compensator helps primarily with the first shot recoil and then a little bit with the rest of the recoil, whereas the compensator just helps a lot in general with recoil. And as you can see, when comparing them side by side, if you take a really close look, sure, the ported compensator has a slightly smaller gap between the first and second shot, but it's not a huge difference compared to the compensator. And as a result, while there's really no wrong answer here, I personally lean in the direction of the compensator on this rather than the ported compensator. After that, let's have a look at our handling stats, and our aim down sight speed is actually not bad for a Marksman Rifle at 300 milliseconds. It's a similar story with our sprint to fire time. This is pretty decent for a Marksman Rifle at 210 milliseconds. And then our slide to fire and dive to fire times are just standard for Marksman Rifles at 370 milliseconds and 450 milliseconds respectively. Then when it comes to our reload add time, this is quite slow at 2.02 seconds with our default 20-round magazine. And with my tests, I found something very interesting, and that is the fact that the Extended Mag 1 attachment, which increases this to a 30-round magazine, it's meant to be harming our reload speed, but it actually improves our reload add time. It's now 1.88 seconds. So if you've got room for a magazine attachment, I would definitely recommend that one because it's all upsides. However, I also want to point out our Flip Mag and Fast Mag 1 reload times are incredibly fast as well. These are both less than a second, which is insanely fast, and that makes them not terrible choices even though they are reducing our magazine capacity. And this finally leaves us with our mobility stats, and across the board here, it's pretty much just standard for Marksman Rifles. There's nothing out of the ordinary, nothing that jumps out at me with these movement speeds. They're all what you would expect with a Marksman Rifle. And now that we've got all of that out of the way, we can now move into some excellent attachment combinations that I've got for you guys with the TR2. And the first one I wanted to share for you is what I just like to call my balanced build. This is my preferred setup if I'm not using Gunfighter. And with this, we've got the Kepler Microflex Optic, the Compensator, although the Porta Compensator is a perfectly valid option here as well. We've got the ergonomic grip to help with our aim down sight speed, slide to fire speed, and dive to fire speed. The heavy stock, which it is worth noting since this is a marksman rifle, we experience very high flinch when shot by default, and that's actually one of the big downsides of this gun. So cutting this down is vital in my eyes, and the heavy stock does the best job at this. It cuts our flinch in half. And then finally, we're topping this off with rapid fire, so we get that boosted rate of fire and time to kill potential. Now with this one, the combination of the compensator and rapid fire, they kind of just cancel each other out when it comes to recoil. We end up with roughly the same magnitude of recoil as we have with the base version of the gun, which is not bad. It is manageable at least. And overall, like I said, if I'm stuck with 5 attachments, these are the best 5 in my opinion, because they really help cut down on the downsides of this gun. Now in saying that, this is one of the guns that benefits very heavily from having more than 5 attachments. And even if you're not somebody that uses Gunfighter often, this is one of the guns where I would recommend using Gunfighter at least sometimes. And if you're doing that, this is the setup that I like to use. So with this one, we once again have the Kepler Microflex and the Compensator. This time we're using the reinforced barrel, so we get a boost to range and velocity. The Ranger foregrip to help a little bit with horizontal recoil, but honestly, it just helps us sprint around the map quite a bit faster as well. We have extended mag 1 on there since it's all upsides with that one. We once again have the ergonomic grip and the heavy stock. And then finally, we're topping this off with recoil springs just to make sure that we get a very accurate version of the gun. And as you can see here, there is very little recoil with this version. It's excellent at picking people off at longer ranges, but it also holds its own just fine up close and personal due to the faster handling that we're getting with the ergonomic grip. And really the only downside with this is the fact that we're not using rapid fire and we're using recoil springs instead, but that's also what allows us to maintain so much accuracy. And with this one especially, I really want to try to mix those headshots in, and that's what I'm using to cut down my time to kill potential rather than relying on rapid fire. And in that case, we get a 150 millisecond time to kill if we can get that 2-shot kill, which is insanely fast. So in my eyes, that's one of the best builds that you could possibly create with this gun. However, I did want to share one last build for you guys, and this is a stealth build. If you want to stay off the radar, this is the build I like using here. So with this, we're of course using the suppressor. We've got the Ranger foregrip, again, mainly to help us with our sprint speed so we can flank enemies and just get around the map a little bit faster. We're once again using the ergonomic grip. This time we're using the combat stock though, which gives us a bit of flinch resistance, not as much as the heavy stock, but it also allows us to strafe a little bit faster in gunfights, which is quite beneficial for a build like this. And then finally, we are topping this one off with rapid fire. And as you can see, there's quite a bit of recoil to this one, but this one's not designed for hanging back and picking people off at ranges. It's designed for aggressively flanking enemies, getting in behind enemy lines unnoticed with that suppressor. And as long as you're playing to those strengths, you should be able to find some success with this. And with that, that's going to wrap it up today's gun guide on the TR2. As for my thoughts on this gun, I just don't really see much reason to use this gun over something like the Goblin Mark II. Now, if we compare it to that, that's an assault rifle that's also a 3-shot kill semi-auto. It does have slightly less range, but most of your gunfights will still fall within the 3-shot kill range. The Goblin has a noticeably higher fire rate cap, like much higher fire rate cap, better recoil, higher bullet velocity, and also it doesn't have the super high flinch that this gun has. So it has me wondering, why would I ever use this gun over the Goblin Mark II unless I'm going for headshots? That's really the only clear upside that this gun has over the Goblin. And in my eyes, that's just not enough of an upside to make it worthwhile to use. Now, does that mean this gun is horrible and totally unusable? No, you can use it, you can find success with it, and especially if you can land those headshots consistently, you may find a decent amount of success with it. I'm just personally not a big fan in its current state. Now, of course, those are just my opinions. I'd love to hear from you guys in those comments down below. How are you feeling about the TR2 in Black Ops 6 so far? Are you guys generally enjoying it, or not so much? If you enjoyed this one, a like rating is always appreciated, and don't forget to subscribe for more if you haven't already. I'll talk to you guys next time.